Hey and welcome to the Daily Arsenal News Show. Let's begin with our daily news. Arsenal could be forced to sell phenomenal player this summer. The latest report suggests that Arsenal's chances of keeping Folarin Balogun are diminishing and they will most likely have to sell him this summer. According to TEAMtalk, Balogun is highly rated by Arsenal and massively impressed after his 22 goals in League One last season. Due to this, he has apparently gained a lot of interest from clubs around Europe. Arsenal would apparently love to keep the striker and give him a new contract. This doesn't look likely, as he is reluctant to discuss a new deal. He has 2 years left, but his price will reduce if not sold this summer. Due to this, and due to the increasing interest from suitors that now he is reluctant to stay, Arsenal may be forced to sell him. The phenomenal forward could definitely have a future at Arsenal, but it looks like he wants consistent game time instead. With Gabriel Jesus at the club, this is something the Gunners cannot promise. The Hale End Academy product shows how great the youth setup at Arsenal is. The Gunners need squad depth, and this was emphasized by the fact that their title charge fizzled out towards the end of the season. With Balogun only 22 years old and already showing great potential in a top division, he would be an ideal option for the club next season. It looks like this decision may be out of their hands. If they lose a player of his talent, then they will want to replace him. The club wants £50 million for Balogun. If they waited another year to sell him, then no doubt his price will reduce due to the fact that he will then only have 1 year left on his deal. It will be very interesting to see what happens over the next few weeks. Preseason is now here, and if he is not involved heavily in the friendlies, then it's no doubt very likely that he will leave this summer. Mikel Arteta has privately told one Arsenal player he has reached the next level. Arsenal star Reiss Nelson signed a new contract this week, and the winger revealed what Mikel Arteta said to him that convinced him to stay. Nelson has been a part of Arsenal since he was a kid. He came through the ranks at Hale End and was always one of the most impressive young players in the academy. Now, Nelson is set to stay at the club for a few more years, and he has revealed on Arsenal.com that Arteta was the one who convinced him to stay. Mikel Arteta has known Reiss Nelson since before he even became the Arsenal manager. The talented winger, branded as a player with a tremendous ability by Arteta, started in the Spaniards' first ever game as the Gunners boss back in 2019, ahead of the club's record signing Nicolas Pepe. That showed how much Arteta trusted Nelson, and the opportunities he received off the bench last season backed that up even more. Nelson looked set to leave Arsenal as his contract neared its end, but Arteta, as he has done with so many players already, told him the right things and convinced him to stay. Here is what Nelson said about his boss. He told me he's seen a massive change in me and he feels like I am at the next level, and it feels like there is so many more different levels that I can go to. So that was the conversation I had with him, and for me, I want to prove to him, prove to everyone around how many levels I can actually go to, and that's what we spoke about. Nelson has always been a player with fantastic qualities, but it almost felt like he didn't really believe in himself. The winger was outstanding for the Gunners at youth level, but his initial years as a senior just weren't up to the mark. Many felt he couldn't hack it, but Arteta saw something in him. The Arsenal boss gave him opportunities off the bench on multiple occasions last season, and Nelson produced a couple of truly magical moments that Gunners fans will remember for a long time. Arteta will be hoping Nelson can do that much more often in the coming years. Parlour says there is an Arsenal player who is reminding him of Dennis Bergkamp. Arsenal legend Parlour has claimed that Martin Odegaard reminds him of Dennis Bergkamp at times. The legendary Dutchman is one of the greatest players to ever grace the game. He completely changed Arsenal when he joined them almost 3 decades ago, and he will forever be a hero to many Gunners. Odegaard is Arsenal's current captain, and he is a fan favorite too. Parlour is clearly a huge fan and raved about him while speaking to GBI International. Arsenal signed Martin Odegaard from Real Madrid on a permanent deal in the summer of 2021. The Norwegian has gone from strength to strength since, and he was one of the best players in the Premier League last season, scoring 15 goals for Arsenal. Odegaard really has been a joy to watch, and Parlour has been very impressed with him. He went as far as saying the 24-year-old reminds him of Ghana's great Dennis Bergkamp. He said, I thought one of Arsenal's best players last year was Martin Odegaard. He grew in stature with his captaincy. He is not on Dennis Bergkamp's level yet, but you can see the signs. He always wants the ball, and he is a very intelligent player. Dennis was like that. I really hope that he can improve again. I think he has got better with every season he has been at the club, and he is still a young player. I think he could be thought of in the same class as Dennis Bergkamp if he can keep performing on a regular basis. Well, that is a humongous compliment. Bergkamp is an absolute icon of the game. He did things with the ball that most people could only dream of, and fans at Arsenal adore him even to this day. Odegaard clearly is not on that level just yet, but he is an extraordinary player himself. He can score goals, provide assists, create chances, and is a fantastic leader. We don't know if he will ever reach Bergkamp's level, but as long as he continues to do what he is doing, Arsenal fans will love him. Ajax legend now shares what extremely skillful Timber is lacking ahead of Arsenal move. Ajax legend Marciano Vink has shared the one aspect of Julian Timber's game that is lacking ahead of a move to Arsenal. Vink was speaking on ESPN FC about the young defender as he closes in on signing for the Gunners. Arsenal fans have been waiting for another player to head through the door since Kai Havertz was confirmed. It appears as though they could be about to see two new stars arrive very soon in the form of Julian Timber and Declan Rice. Timber has now reportedly passed his medical, meaning an announcement should be made very soon. There are high hopes for the Dutch international, who can play in several different positions. However, Vink has shared what Timber might be lacking and potentially needs to work on at Arsenal. He impressed the likes of Virgil van Dijk already during his short career. Now he needs to win over the Arsenal faithful at the Emirates when the season begins. Asked about the 22-year-old, Vink said, well, Timber is a very promising young player. He is extremely skillful. He is good in 1v1s. He is a guy who has ice cold blood. He never gets nervous. Always in difficult situation. He knows the solution. He made his debut in the national team. He played like he was playing for several years already. This guy is a huge talent and multifunctional. You can put him in different roles, different positions. He can play as a fullback, center back. He can play in midfield. The only thing he is lacking is his height and defending the headers. The difference between Julian Timber and Lisandro Martinez is that Martinez has a lot of energy, a lot of willpower. That's the only thing defending Timber is lacking. So Martinez, even with corner against, he can make it really hard. I think Julian Timber needs to grow in that kind of spirit, in that kind of aggressivity. If Timber is playing at right back, lacking that height and willingness to win headers might not be a big problem for Arsenal. £65 million Arsenal target, keen on a Premier League transfer this summer. Arsenal have been linked with a move for Bayer Leverkusen winger Moussa Diaby in recent weeks. A report from Daily Mail claims that the 23-year-old Frenchman is keen on a move to the Premier League this summer. Apparently, the winger is valued at £65 million, and it will be interesting to see if the likes of Arsenal are prepared to pay up. The report adds that Manchester United and Newcastle United are keen on the player as well. Diaby had an impressive campaign with the German club last season, and he picked up 14 goals and 11 assists across all competitions. Arsenal could certainly use more depth in the wide areas. They had overused the likes of Gabriel Martinelli and Bukayo Saka last season. The Gunners will be competing in the UEFA Champions League next season, and they need a bigger squad to cope with the increased number of fixtures. Diaby could prove to be a solid long-term acquisition for them, but the asking price seems quite steep. The Gunners have been very active in the transfer market so far, and they have already secured the services of Kai Havertz. They are closing in on big money moves to sign Declan Rice and Julian Timber as well. It will be interesting to see if they are willing to spend £65 million on the French winger this summer. Meanwhile, Manchester United and Newcastle could use more quality in the wide areas as well, and they certainly have the financial muscle to pay big money for the 23-year-old Frenchman. Arsenal will reportedly be pushing Chelsea for £50 million man now if Partey leaves. Arsenal will be pushing Chelsea to sign Southampton midfielder Romeo Lavia if Thomas Partey leaves this summer. Journalist Graham Bailey was talking about the teenager on the Talking Transfer podcast. It appears as though Romeo Lavia is one of the most in-demand players in the Premier League. After Southampton's relegation last season, plenty of teams now sniff an opportunity to sign the one-cap Belgium international. Lavia was one of Southampton's more impressive performers last season. Lavia still has plenty of time to improve and would be a wise investment for any Premier League side. There is talk that Thomas Partey might leave Arsenal this summer as Mikel Arteta makes big changes to his midfield. If he does go, then Arsenal will be pushing to sign Lavia amid interest from the likes of Chelsea and Liverpool. Southampton will be hoping if the 19-year-old does leave. It's after a bidding war has started. Speaking about the interest in Lavia, Bailey said, "It's gearing up. He became one of the most in-demand players in England. He has all the major clubs looking at him. Liverpool, Arsenal and Chelsea are the main three as it stands, but I have spoken with his people. They are more advanced than any of the others. Manchester United, Manchester City, and Newcastle are being kept informed of the situation, but they are not as advanced as those three. Arsenal, as we mentioned, I do expect them to move for another midfielder, and Lavia is very high up in that. Thomas Partey and Jorginho, their long-term futures are far from certain, and Lavia is someone who they really like. Lavia fits the bill for them, and Chelsea as well. Southampton are demanding £50 million for him. Nobody is paying £50 million for Romeo Lavia. I think the clubs believe a deal of £40 million and under will get it done eventually, and I probably believe that as well with add-ons that will happen. As it stands, Lavia hasn't really signaled which club he wants to join. There isn't a favorite. I think if Arsenal get rid of Partey, I have a slight feeling they will be pushing Chelsea for him. Arsenal have now spoken to the agent of special player. Arsenal are making a splash this summer, as it is with their signings, but talk about signing a new right back continues to persist. With the signing of Kai Havertz confirmed, the Gunners are also signing Declan Rice from West Ham and Julian Timber from Ajax, with medicals and announcement planned for both. However, it doesn't mean Arsenal's spending is done there. Despite Timber's arrival, talk of a new fullback has continued. Two names have now been mentioned in the form of Joao Cancelo and Jeremy Frimpong, and according to Fabrizio Romano, speaking on his Here We Go podcast, Arsenal have made contact over Frimpong, albeit nothing is advanced. He said, "At the moment, we have many right backs, for example, Joao Cancelo and Jeremy Frimpong. These are players appreciated by Arsenal. Arsenal have had conversations with the agents of Frimpong, who recently changed his agent. So they had a conversation, and with Joao Cancelo, they know his agent, Jorge Mendes, very well, but at the moment it's nothing advanced." Frimpong, lauded as a special talent, has been linked with a move to Arsenal in recent days. Whether or not the Gunners do follow up this interest that Romano talks about remains to be seen. The Gunners boss has said as much in the past. He has admitted the club always have to be ready to strike for new players if deals are there to be done. With the Frimpong, you feel Arsenal are waiting it out a bit. At the moment, he isn't a priority signing, but depending on Arteta's plans for Timber, he could well be valuable. Frimpong has shown his class over in Germany. The question really would be how he could transfer that to the faster-paced Premier League. I will be uploading daily Arsenal news, so keep your eyes on the channel and don't forget to like and subscribe. I appreciate your support. Peace out.